Hello anybody and welcome back to Let's Play Super Mario RPG. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and in the last episode, we got into Smithy's Factory a little bit, got roughed up by the enemies, and by Countdown, the first boss of Smithy's Factories, and in today's episode, we are going to plunge ourselves deeper down into the darkness ahead. But before we do that, I actually want to jump back up, because there is one thing I forgot in the... Wait, did I forget it in the previous episode? Yes, I did. We want to actually go back to a previous save point, which is across these bolts. We want to get all the way back here, and actually, if we come to this save point, that is the last hidden chest in the game. And you might be wondering, what do you get for getting all the hidden chests? You get nothing! You get nothing for getting all the hidden chests in the game, even though there is a character who tells you how many are left. Damn it, I fell. Even though there's that character who tells you how many you have left, you get nothing for getting all of the hidden chests in the game. So sorry. Which is... damn it. You get nothing. So Smithy's Factory, as we plunge ourselves deeper, is kind of this is the logical conclusion of the weird aesthetic of certain enemies that we've seen throughout the game that don't really fit anything, and hello there! Welcome to one of the gimmicks of Smithy's Factory. You get back here, and you're gonna find that they're mass-producing bosses with the same boss music and everything. These are Axum Red, Green, and Pink machine-made versions. And they have different moves, but they're all around weaker than the enemies we've fought before. Axum Red will always open with a Valor Up followed by a Vigor Up. Green can do whatever. Pink will always open with a Petal Blast, and they are fast enough that they usually beat you to the punch in getting a turn. There are a lot of these guys going around, and we're going to be seeing more of them as we go on. Just these mass-produced enemies that just mean bad news for us. First things first, we're going to take care of Axum Pink again, because she is, of course, their healer, as per usual. Axum Red can totally buff himself up as much as he wants. So this is concerning that after beating these bosses, we can see that even though we sunk Smithy's battleship, even though we've already done all of that, we come in and we see they're mass-producing these guys already. They're just pumping out more of them, so it seems like we're not really slowing down anything, despite our efforts. At the same time, it's important to note that when you get here, and when you start fighting these bosses, you're gonna notice that they're made of, they're a lower quality than what we've seen before. These aren't like the Axum Rangers we fought aboard the battleship Blade, which did a ton of damage, and they were quite tough cookies. Anyway, this is the area where you drop down and you get a secret area with secret treasure chests that actually maxes out our flower points at... oh wait, we're at 98. That wasn't maxing it out at all. But yes, you get to this point and you'll find that these aren't the same Axum Rangers as before. They can mass produce them if they want, but they're just not the same in terms of their difficulty or challenge. But of course, it is not just the Axum Rangers who we have yet to see. There are more enemies who are going to be coming down the conveyor belts. And one of them are actually a couple of new unique enemies who we haven't seen yet. Pounders, Poundettes, and Jabbits. Pounders, these hammer enemies that we're going to be seeing a few of throughout the factory, aren't really that much different. The Jabbit is kind of supposed to be a spear, and I think they were originally meant to be Eurytovich's minions back in Seaside Town, but they never really did much with them, because there is another colored version of the Jabbit that was never used in the game called a Drill Bit, and it just doesn't appear at any point in the game, and I think that was meant to be something else. Last Shot. That was barely anything. Well, it's good to know that the Jabbit has a last shot move. And of course, where he gets stuck on this section, we get shot with arrows. You kind of want to break out of here as quickly as you can because these arrows are super precise in hitting you. And here we have more machine-made enemies that are just coming on through, but these aren't really black and white like the previous ones. And we also got a Pup-Ox, a new enemy that we haven't seen since like Booster Tower, but this is like a recolor. Springers are of course like the Shysters, who we saw back in Mushroom Kingdom, but they're recolored and more powerful now. I actually wonder if the Shysters and these enemies, if the Shy Guys on top are fake, since they're being manufactured in a factory, and maybe they're just kind of meant to... the actual sentient entity, like Mac, is actually the sword. That's what I'm wondering. These are the hard-hitting questions you gotta ask. Pup-Ox, not really much else to say about these guys other than the fact that they're just super creepy. And we've actually seen most of the enemies there are to see in this area. They do have quite a bit of physical attack, but it's nothing you can't manage. It's nothing unmanageable, is basically what I mean to say. And that takes care of that. I'll put up any worthwhile notes, if there are any worthwhile notes on those enemies. But anyway, we break out of that little line of enemies, and here we have our good old friend, Mac. Oh my god, it's been so long since we've seen you, Mac. It is kind of menacing to see all these enemies coming down the conveyor belts. Like I said with the Axum Rangers, that they're just mass-producing these guys. But as is the case before with the Axum Rangers, this guy does not have anywhere near the HP and just the... He doesn't have near... He actually has less HP than Mac had at the beginning of the game. I think he did, at least. I'll put up a note if he actually has less or has more HP than before. Point is, he's not of the same quality as Mac the Knife was when we first fought him. It's like you lose something. Mario, I'm back! Sorry, I just had to show that off. It's like you lose something when something doesn't have the same care and handcrafting and the same paint job, I guess, because these are just, they're not as good. You lose something when you take it down to mass manufacturing, and you lose a certain level of quality, and I think that's kind of the feeling I think that they were going for. That even though the machine maids are intimidating in the fact that they're just pumping out all of these things as quickly as they can, when you sacrifice, you have to sacrifice, when you take the route of convenience and mass production, you're going to have to sacrifice a level of quality, and you definitely see that here. Now here we come along these conveyor belts, which will push us along, and actually, we'll run into a fight with more new enemies. Lil Boos. Get it? They're like Big Boos, but now they're Lil Boos. It's actually really interesting. The only two enemies that are discernibly Mario enemies, which are the Glum Reapers and Lil Boos, are dead. The only Mario enemies that are distinguishable here are dead, and it's kind of implied that they're manufactured as well, with their like bleak colors and their drained colors, and it's definitely implied that not everything is quite right here. Let's use a Yoshi cookie, our last Yoshi cookie, on that little boo. What will you give us for that? I hope it's worthwhile. Freshen, not bad at all, actually. Let us strike this guy down, Hippopo, with a bolt of lightning. That was not got the timing right on at all. That could have done so much more damage. What the hell is the Hippopo? It would be one thing if Smithy's factory was filled with just like anthropomorphic weapons all the way through, but that's not the case. It also just has a lot of enemies that are just weird, like these and Countdown, and all these enemies that don't really fit in anywhere. But anyway, not really much else to say about these guys. There's still one more enemy we've yet to face in this area, I think. One more enemy that's worth, or a couple enemies, but one that we kind of want to run into before we lose the opportunity to fight them. So let's see if we can find them. May as well show off the firebomb there, just so you know what it does if you want to use a firebomb. So yeah, it's just a big old blast of fire. And there we go. Sadly, no new enemies in that fight, but tons of experience. You're very likely to get about 2 levels. 2 levels is about the average of what you should expect to get in this area. We got ourselves a royal syrup, very nice. Let's top off our flower points, since we have a lot of syrups we can use. But yeah, about 2 levels for every character. There's so many experience points to get here, and of course it's fitting because it's the last dungeon. And we get ourselves another level up. Bowser reaches level 21. We're gonna put that one into his attack as per usual. And what about you? Well, we got a level up for Mario. He's on to the next level now. As you reach the highest levels in the game, the bonuses are gonna get smaller and smaller, especially in the HP category. We got ourselves a Max Mushroom, not bad at all. Head across this bridge, more Boos! And there's the last enemy that I wanted to find for this particular area. That is, I think it's called a Doppel. Yep, Doppel. These are like the ghosts that we saw back in Kiro Sewers, except spookier. So lots of dead enemies in this area. If they're not mechanical, then they're some form of ghost. So that's a little scary, aside from the Hippopo, which is, what's even with the Hippopo? No idea. Of course, when you're dealing with Lil Boos, you want to stick to physical attacks more than just... It's very tempting to try and use screen nukes in this area, but a good rule of thumb is most of the enemies in this area are actually fairly resistant to magic, so they kind of... That's new. So you kind of want to be careful. You don't want to just try and spam special attacks and waste all your FP on these guys, because there's just not much you can really do with just magic attacks. There are, especially with the Lil Boos. If you get a swarm of Lil Boos, they'll just eat up all of your stuff. Pure Water, we can use that against undead enemies, of course. Mallow, you get your bonus into your physical attack, because why not? And let's keep on pushing through. Now that we've taken care of that, heading up this conveyor belt, we run into another old friend. It's Bowyer, of all people. It's been a long time since we've seen this guy, and now he has creepy red eyes for some reason. Same gimmick as when we fought him back in the forest maze. He will lock your buttons if you actually, well, it doesn't really matter what you do. I mean, he's gonna do it regardless, and it's pretty random. 706 HP. Yeah, I'll snuff ya. Yeah. So, he's back again. And unlike most of the bosses in this area that are just like remanufactured version of bosses, I think he's like the one that has more HP than his initial appearance, which I think is only really because he's by himself and he was an early boss. So if they gave him too little HP, you would kill him pretty much immediately. And he locks off our items, but that's no big deal. We've fought Bowyer. We can beat like a crappy machine-made version of him with pretty much no problem at all. Come on, Bowyer. You know this won't last. And that takes care of him. These machine-made versions, although it is worth mentioning, these guys do offer a ton of experience points that are definitely... These are your best source of grinding if you choose to grind. They give you a ton of experience, and they're very easy to kill. Now here you have a little weird platforming section where you kind of have to navigate throughout the Axums. And actually, if we keep fighting these guys... Here we go. We will actually have an opportunity to fight the other two members of the Axum Rangers, but doubled up. These are the Axum Black and Yellow, of course, who we haven't seen in a long time, where Axum Black, of course, sticks to his method of attacking several times, which I guess is why they stuck two of them together. And then Axum Yellows, which, when attacked physically, will resort to a very powerful physical counter. But otherwise, they're not too dangerous. Like the Axum Red, Green, and Pink. Ooh. They're really easy to deal with. And again, they don't really do anything different than their original incarnations, so that's not really that much of a big deal to show off. Let's just dodge these last ones, no real reason to fight them. And as we head up here, we are probably going to have to get into another fight with another machine-made Bowyer, but we can dodge it and get another save point. And this brings us to a new room where we can see that there are Yuritoviches coming down. There are also these new enemies who seem to be lurking around. These are ninjas. Ninjas are particularly interesting enemies. When you hit them, or rather, I guess when you kill them, because they have more HP than I thought they did, they will do something specific, a very specific retaliation. But oh my god, these guys are taking a lot of turns. Let's kill this one. And they will react with a last-ditch move, which, if it works, will actually mute the opposite party member if it has the effect that it's meant to have. Can we please have a star rain that's effective? Well, that's better. It's better, at least. And thankfully, they don't have much left before they're gonna die. There's only 3 left, so we almost got these guys. And like any ninjas, they hit pretty hard. They're also actually holding kunai in their hand, in case that wasn't obvious. It's kind of easier to see in their official art than it is to see here. So yeah, if you're wondering what it is they're holding. Again, like Boomer... Oh great, they're immune to electricity. Like Boomer, who was the boss, one of the bosses of Bowser's Keep, he kind of referenced to like more weapon types. Basically the arsenal of ninjas. I mean, the game was made in Japan. There's definitely going to be Japanese culture in some of the things they reference. Man, their last kill move is kind of annoying though, even though it doesn't really do much damage. Would you just die? There we go. These guys are super frustrating to fight, but they do give you a lot of experience like everything else in this area. But that's not the ones that we're trying to kill here now, is it? We want to take care of that Yuridovich that keeps dropping down. And for that, we're going to top off our FP, and we are going to jump on this brick and fight Yuridovich. Yuridovich is the only one that's mandatory to fight among the machine maids, I think, because he blocks this brick off, and you definitely have to kill one. I think he's about the same stats, similar stats at least, to the previous Yuridovich. He has some new moves like Meteor Blast. He can still do a decent amount of damage, but he's not at all the same as he was when you fought him all the way back in Seaside Town, and he would just obliterate you with Water Blast. Now, if you do let him live for too long, like if you don't kill him quick enough, which is actually very likely given he has high defense and high HP, he will take a new move. He will do something new that has never been seen before. Is he gonna do it? No, he's gonna use the Flame Stone. Well, I want him to use his move and show that off, so I'm gonna defend until he does that. Multiplier! And he explodes into 4 machine-made drill bits. This is basically also pretty much the end of the fight. He does not recombine back into himself, but he just leaves it up to these jerks. But you can just kind of take care of these guys fairly easy, fairly standard fashion. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to kill them so fast, and maybe I should be letting them try to do something. Oh wait, no, he comes back, and he will actually keep spawning machine-made drill bits if you don't kill him in good time. But I digress, that's the end of that fight. I'll put up whatever the machine-made drill bits did, if they're worthwhile. 60 experience, and that blows up that brick. The machine-made Yuridovich is your best option and avenue to getting experience if you want to grind in this area. He's easy to kill if you max out your characters on attack, so that is my advice to you if you want to do that. But we do not want to jump down that hole yet because this episode is getting kind of long. And we are going to leave off the mystery of what's down there as we've defeated all of the machine maids in this episode. And in the next one, we are going to be heading down deeper into Smithy's factory. I hope to see somebody then.